Well, hello, my dear Ashley. Here we are again at the
Hello.
Laura
Hello.
and Ashley and Laura show, whatever. Yay!
I never know how we're gonna open the intro. It's
I
kind of fun.
don't know either. I wonder if you should come up with a script or just kind of be.
I'm just being my authentic self and I'm just winging it.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like that. So today we have recorded a couple last weekend,
Hmm.
but they just didn't jive, and then we had
Yeah.
all the lag and then all the crazy stuff. So we just chucked the spirit said no, not
Yeah.
today.
Yep. Yep. It was good conversation nonetheless, and it set us up for, I think, success for this weekend. But
I know it was very I really loved the second one we did.
I did too. Yeah.
So I'm just kind of I can't figure it out, but you
Nope.
don't question, right? You just kind of go with
Mm-mm.
the flow.
Yep. So we
So
wanted to talk about our I guess you could say how we got started on this spiritual journey. I know we've talked about it in episodes in the past of, encounters with spirit, but we said we were going to do like a ghost story podcast. I feel like I need like a little campfire and some s'mores. We're telling ghost stories around the campfire.
yes, I love marshmallows. I love s'mores. The
Oh,
s'mores.
so good.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, I do like those. But anyway, yeah, one of the questions that came up to me, maybe this past week or a couple of weeks ago, is how do the cat is like pulling at my, how do we, like, how are we able to receive all these messages and these
Hmm.
images and all these, like, how do you actually communicate and how do we know it's not lower frequencies versus the higher frequencies and
Oh,
all
hmm.
those things, like how do we trust what we receiving? And I thought that was a very, very good question, honestly, because as long as you're coming from the heart space and you have the pure intention of connecting with the higher realm,
Hmm.
there's no question about it.
Yeah.
You know, if you're coming from a bad space or if your head not in the right place, or you're just like, let's just do it to get it over with, or just kind of like be the negative
Yeah. Yeah.
state
I'd
of
say negative.
mind, then yeah, you don't know. Those lower frequencies can come through.
Hmm.
So that's why it's so important to really clear your mind and be in a space of pure intention and allowing it to connect with the higher up frequency.
Yeah. And I think too, like adding to the intention part, um, setting yourself up to only connect with those that are of good and higher
Yeah,
frequency. So like if you connect with prayer, like saying a prayer or something along those lines of calling in, all of the people that you know that are good and just and of the higher light and kind of working off of that too. I think that is also very powerful to
for
protect you
sure.
from not getting mixed up with the wrong stuff too.
Oh yeah, and we have five spirit guides that are with us from breath to breath.
Hmm.
And you place your trust and faith in them. They got you covered. Front, back, sideways, up, down, everywhere. They have you covered. And it's really just about connecting from the heart.
Mm,
You're connecting with like and don't get me wrong, there are people out there that have the bad connect or negative connect intention for
sure.
people.
Hmm.
You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So that's why it's really important to research who are you going to see, what are their
Hmm.
beliefs, what are their then or reevaluate where you're from, you know. You don't want to just like depend on other people either. You need to depend on your own faith and beliefs
Right.
and your own intention.
Yeah, because this is your journey, your path. So you have to know what your foundation is, what your where you're going with everything so that you can align with the person that is going to help you along with that path.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, there's some people out there, those scams that are out there. Oh, for $1,000, I can remove you.
Yeah.
And we would never, ever do or say something like that.
Right.
I mean, we might say, hey, you might want to tweak your thoughts a little bit. That's how you get rid of things, blah, blah, blah. But I would never say to you, you've got 5 entities on you. Give me $1,000. I will remove them from you.
$5,000 for each one, give me.
There you go. And when that comes about, it feels like it's more about the person and
Hmm.
where they're falling and their thought process. You know what I mean? Where like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be thinking about this, whatever. I don't want to say it, but whatever. And I should probably focus more on the higher things. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, so a lot of the connections that we have it's basically when you are out of your mind, we're in the 3D world. We're worried about finances. We're worried about
Hmm.
family relationships, friendships. We're worried about romance, the future, all these things. When you want to truly connect with spirit, your spirit guide, your loved one, all those on the other side, it is coming from a space of letting and let go of everything, releasing all the burdens or the worries that we have in this world, coming into a substance tolerance, all of that, from the hurt space, moving on from the material things and going more
Hmm.
into the spiritual things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that. Yep. Yep. Nail
Yeah,
on
and
the head.
push that ego to the side and just let it all come through.
Naturally and just let it flow. My husband always says, let it flow like water or something, or adapt like water, or just let it flow.
Yeah, yeah.
Easier come.
Water can get through everything, you know.
Hmm. Hmm.
It can even knock down those sturdy, stubborn buildings, right? So
Sure can.
that's a good metaphor. Knock it
Hmm.
down. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let it
yeah.
flow. I love it.
So think about it. I know we have had some stories from last week that we were not able to show, but think about when you have some of your own experiences, like you
Hmm.
have a story about your disco balls and the bees and all
Oh,
that.
yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
So, speaking of like being in the present moment and letting things just kind of naturally flow to you, the biggest message behind this podcast, I think personally, is just like stay in the present moment. If you really want this connection, if you really want to tap into these types of communications, like you just have to be present. So, with talking with Lyra earlier, I realized for my first ghost story I'll share, my dad's mom lived with us when I was a kid, and she lived in the bedroom that was next to mine and my siblings. And she wound up she was on hospice. She wound up passing away. We were at a neighbor's house, and she passed early in the morning, late in the night. I forget whatever the details were. Because originally I was told she was brought to the hospital and she passed away in the hospital. And this plays into the story a little bit because as I move into, after she passes away, services happen, yada, yada, yada. I move into that bedroom that she was in, that she passed away in, that I was not told she passed away in. So when I moved in there, I had free range of decorating my own room. I had always shared a room with my siblings. This also plays an effect into the story. So I had hippie beads or whatever you want to call them, door beads on my door, and you're relevant to the story. They were little disco balls, and disco balls are near and dear and true to my heart from the Reiki training. So if any of the Reiki girls that were in the Reiki training with Laura and I, um, told you disco balls were part of my thing. But anyways, um, I was a kid and I had a nightlight on. I was scared to sleep in the bedroom by myself and the dark and things like that. And um, when I was sleeping, I heard or no, I'm sorry. Let me back this up. The first thing that had happened was the nightlight was flashing on and off, on and off, on and off. And I could not, for the life of me, figure out what was going on. And I was scared and I pulled the blanket over my head and I was like, okay, if I can't see it, it's not happening. It's not happening. I eventually fell asleep, came out from underneath the blanket. Then the second thing that happened to me that same night was I heard footsteps going around the bed that I was in. And now this is where the hippie beads play into the story. I knew I had the beads, and if somebody was truly, or something, we had dogs. If somebody or something was truly in my room, I could look at the beads and see if they were moving. And so I turned over and I didn't see that the beads were moving and they were really still. And I was like, oh my gosh, somebody is in my room. And I don't know who it is. So I went back under the covers. If I can't see you, it's not really happening. Um, which now thinking back, like if somebody truly was in my room, like, oh my gosh, they could totally see me. But anyways, uh,
That's
so
not
that
good.
right. So then, the third thing that happened, I came out from under the blankets again, and I felt on one side of my face was just very cold, as if somebody just put a cold hand on my face. And when I opened my eyes, because I was like, that's weird, like all of a sudden it just got cold. I opened my eyes and I saw a haze over me. It wasn't any sort of like shape. It wasn't like a person or anything. It was just weird that there was like this fog over me. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I went back under the covers again. And I was like, if I can't see you, it's not actually happening. And then um
That's
there
all
was a
bad.
then there was another time too. And again, the hippie beads play into effect that I was laying in bed and I had heard footsteps again and I like turned over and I looked and the beads weren't moving and I was like, "Oh my gosh." And so, I'm sitting there and I'm laying on my side and I felt somebody like sit on the bed next to me and like I felt the mattress, decompress, go down and then somebody was rubbing my back and I didn't feel scared and I didn't feel, afraid or nervous or anything. I was just was like, oh, somebody's like rubbing my back. That feels really good. And I felt very calm. So I always said that that was my dad's mom, my grandma, who passed away in the room. Like I always joked about it, but like actually thinking back, that could have been her. Like I was very scared to be in a room by myself. I always had my two other younger siblings with me. Maybe subconsciously my mind knew that she passed away in that room. I don't know, but that's
Um,
my first encounter with a ghost, to my mind to put me on this path. So,
no, that's interesting because your soul knows. I mean, you know
mm,
subconsciously you have all the answers. Everything's inside you. So you probably did know on some level that she was in that room, you
yeah.
know. But what I like about that story is that that's the perfect example of why kids are so open.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't have the weight of the world on their shoulders. They're in the moment. They're trusting, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in a good space, so there's nothing negative around that.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I really feel like that was your grandmother coming to say, "Hey, thank you for giving me your room,"
Sure.
and
Yeah.
I'm okay, I'm good, and I'm watching over you, all that,
Yeah.
because I love that because you. And it's always, if you notice when you're in that twilight stage or that in
Mm.
between stage, that's what it feels like when I do readings for people. You get into that space.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because there's nothing here. Well, I don't know if there's anything in there to begin with, but but there's nothing. I'm able to remove my what 3D life, my ego, push it all to the side. And I come from a space of no judgment, no anything. I mean, you would not believe the stories I had heard throughout
Mm,
my years in doing this. And it's all, and I feel it's not my space, place to judge because we've all been there, you know
yeah,
what I
yep.
mean? But when you come from a space of no judgment, the healing can begin.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean? And I that's one of the things I really hope I give my people is that they can come to me with anything because I know whatever story you guys have to tell me, that is part of the story you agreed to in order to get to the next level, to grow, to heal,
Mm-hmm.
to spread the message to other people of hope and love and all that.
That's
That
beautiful. Mm,
right, I mean it's very touching and it's very like I mean I've had a few experiences where I was just like, holy cow, what the heck? Why did you agree
yeah.
to that? Why did I agree to that? You know, but there's, you know what I'm saying? There's a purpose. There's
Mm-hmm.
always a purpose and a reason for it. And the fact that a lot of people see things while they're in that twilight state is
Mm-hmm.
because they're able to let all that go for that moment. And then when they see stuff, they're like, what did I really see that? You know? So that's a perfect example. I love that story.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I love that story.
Well,
You
what's one
will,
of your ghost stories?
well, as you were talking, you were bringing to mind my mom, and I know this isn't me personally, but I always loved this hearing the story from my mom. She
Okay.
was a teenager. Her grandmother passed. My great grandmother passed. I don't know, like a year before I was born, or something like
Okay.
that. I can't remember exactly. But my great grandmother, her name was Julia, is Julia, sorry. She would lay in bed with my mom, and my mom would like rub her hand. And
Okay.
my grandmother, I guess, had a deformed nail on one of her fingers,
Okay.
and my mom would feel that. So she knew it was grandma, her grandma.
Oh.
And it said it brought her so much comfort. And she would always tell me that story. And I just love it. I have some
Oh, I
sort of,
love that.
yeah, and it's cool because I have some sort of connection with her grandmother. I've
Okay.
never met her before. She's one of my helpers. She comes not so much anymore, but she did come for a good chunk of time to
Okay.
help me on this journey and to help recognize things and stuff like that. But there's always been a connection with her. And so it was just kind of when you were talking about your grandmother, it reminded me of
Mm-hmm.
that. You know, I was just like, oh, that's so cool. Because like again, she's in that twilight phase,
Yep.
mind completely open, you know, so she was open to that.
I love that. Mm.
Yeah. There was another time when my dad had passed away. Um, my family and I moved in with my mom to help her with something, you know, and it was one particular bad night. I just laid with my mom and I happened to look up and I see my dad leaning
Mm.
over my mom and giving her a kiss on the forehead.
Oh,
And I was like, hey, he must have heard me. And I go, like that. And he looked, we made eye contact and he just kind of went, and then he was
uh,
gone. I was like, Dan, come back, come back.
wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so he's been really making himself known here, especially lately more so. Not sure why, but
Okay.
I love it's comforting. I hear him walking in the kitchen. I hear the coffee pot going on. I hear him sitting in the kitchen chair, smoking
Mm,
his cigarette, So it's they really, really want you to know that they are
mhm.
okay and like, they're around you. And just because they're not in a physical form, you can still talk to them. They're still around to help us,
Hmm.
or just be like, hey, I'm here. What goofy thing are you up to today?
Speaking of like, oh,
Oh,
I'm here, things like that. You had told a story last week about the little ghost girl that you saw as a child
oh, that's
and
that.
how you connected with somebody at was it camp and they said that there was a little girl here and something, she wound up saying like leave me alone or whatever.
Stop thinking about
Tell
me. I'm okay.
Tell that ghost story because that ties in like as long as you're talking to them and you're acknowledging, that they are still here, they'll still communicate with
Yeah.
you. So tell that story.
So I was an only, well, I am, I'm an only child. And so I spent a lot of time alone. And my mom and dad were always working, making ends meet. We lived in an apartment building in
Mm.
Chicago. And they had this fountain thing in the front of the building. It was shut up, but
Okay.
a nice little area to play in, with your dolls, your blocks, whatever. So I would go out there and I would somehow met this little girl. I can still see her. She had black hair. She was maybe, I swear she was like 2 feet tall, but I mean, just my size.
Sure.
I want to say I was like 5 or 6 years old. And my parents would keep an eye on me in this little area. Uh, So we would talk, we would play, and we're playing with these toys, and she would always want me to get something out that I didn't have. So I had to run upstairs, grab it, come back down, and she'd be like put off that I left her.
Mm.
And anyway, long story short, we were kind of playing, and I was to the well, I have to go. And I'm like, well, why? We just started to play. And she goes, well, you keep leaving me. She got mad at me.
Oh my
And at
gosh.
the time, I'm like, well, you asked me to go get these things. Let's play. Come on. And I
Mm-hmm.
have to go. Fine, go. But then I see her walking or floating, or I don't know. I don't remember seeing feet or anything like
Sure.
that. I thought that was so odd. I'm like, well, okay. So then I got up and I went to go chase after her, but she's gone, nowhere to be found.
Hmm.
And from that day on, I mean, my 5-year-old brain couldn't comprehend what was going
Right.
on. So I always thought I would look for her every day after that. I was like, where is she? I don't even remember her name.
Okay.
I just heard Annalise. That's interesting. I just
Okay.
heard that name. Okay, so Annalise. Anyway, but she was not ever there. Fast forward a couple of years, but my family and I always go to Camp Chesterfield for like spiritual stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the mediums there pulled me to the side. She goes, you're always thinking about this little girl. She wants you to say, she wants to tell you that she's fine. Stop thinking about her and leave her alone. And I was like, at first I was like, oh, what the heck? I couldn't understand what she was talking about. But then it was like, oh yeah, okay, fine, I'll leave you alone. But you see, they really, really
Yeah.
pause.
Yeah.
They really, they know when you're thinking about something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was and I used my poor dad. He used to be like, "Who are you talking to? Who are you talking with?" They're like, "You can't see it." Like I saw her as if I'm seeing
Oh,
you.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's just how open you are as kids, you
Would
know.
would you say that spirit looks different or presents themselves different to you now as an adult versus what you remember seeing as a child?
Well, yeah, so I would say that 100% because,
Okay.
and now I see them as if I'm dreaming. I see them as just like, you know, when you're in a dream and as you can
I see.
see,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that's how I see them now. There's been times where I have seen them
Okay.
like real, I don't know, for
Like,
lack of a better word.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're still a little transparent, but I can see them with my physical
Okay.
eyes.
Okay.
But I don't do that all the time. I mean, there's people out there that can, but I kind of go back and forth.
Okay.
More so in my dream-like state than I do
Okay.
with my physical eyes. Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting.
But we are supposed to be seeing more and more in the next couple of years where a lot more people are going to be able to see.
Cool.
Yeah. And then cohabitate. Be like, hey, hey, mom,
That's
I
cool.
need you here. I'm like, boop, until your life.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I'm
That's
looking
cool.
forward to that because I would love to just still converse with them now. You really
Yeah.
gotta really be in that space.
Sure. It
But
would
like
be like
even now,
more fluid, I guess, would be the word.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, that would be cool.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So, any more stories that you have?
I do have another one. This was when I was older, and it took place at my parents' house still. I was in high school, or maybe like no, it was probably high school. I'm trying to think if it was college, but I think it was high school. My group of friends that I hung out with, we would do movie nights at, different people's houses every other week or something. We were very fond of Jersey Shore and we would do Jersey days on Thursdays.
I
But
remember those. Yeah.
this was a movie night though, because I think we were watching like a scary movie, and I think the only reason why I think it was a scary movie is because I remember this encounter so vividly, and I don't watch scary movies now. I don't entertain it at all, but um we were in my parents' like living room or whatever. They had the TV, surround sound. They have a fireplace with different stuff on the mantle. And I was sitting on the couch with the guy I was dating at the time, and all of my other friends were sprawled out on the couch or on the ground. And as the movie was transitioning to start, the
Yeah,
screen went all black, and on the fireplace mantle was my dad's mom's like funeral candle. The Catholics give you like a candle for their funeral services for whatever
yeah,
part of tradition or whatever. So her candle was on the mantle with her like mass card, and then there's also a very beautiful angel snow globe. I've always loved that. And mom, if you're listening, put that in the will for me because I love it so much. Anyways, but um
but
the
just go
candle
get it. Just go get it.
that's good. I mean, I guess I could do that too. That requires me to go back home. But anyways, so this candle was up on this little like altar, if you will, for my dad's mom. And as the movie was going to the black screen, the candle had lit. And I remember sitting there, before this episode, we were kind of talking about, just kind of getting in that twilighty zone, dreamlike state, to where you're kind of in this trance to let the energy and the communication flow naturally. And thinking back to that moment, I probably was kind of just like out in dreamland, like not really thinking of anything specific because it was a movie I didn't really care to actually see. So to have this candle light and catch my eye, I was like, oh my gosh. And I like tensed up because the guy that was sitting next to me was like, did you see that? And I was like, I saw that, but you saw that? And he's like, I definitely saw like, is that a trick candle? Like, they have birthday candles, like if you light it and you blow it out, then it relights again. He's like, is that a trick candle? I was like, that's my grandma's funeral candle. I don't think it's a trick candle, but maybe the Catholics have a good, sense of humor nowadays, but no, it's not.
Yeah,
And
right.
then I didn't think anything else after that. I was just like, oh, that's kind of weird. And like, I blew it out and I like told my mom about it because she's like, why did you light grandma's candle? And I'm like, I did not. That happened on its own.
Wow.
So,
So would you say there's a big connection between you and your grandma? Like that she just wants you to feel comforted or something? You know what I mean?
it's funny because I probably at the time, yes, she wanted me to feel comforted, maybe. For those who don't know, I don't have a great relationship with my dad. And so maybe there's, something with that too. Like she's trying to communicate with me on that healing aspect. But when you when you asked me just now if she is like checking up on you, I got a vision of oh my gosh, it's so funny. So when she lived with my family and I, I'm a young kid. We had my my siblings and I, we had bunk beds. And it was nighttime. I don't know if my dad was working nights. I don't know what was happening, but it was around Halloween time. And he had this really scary looking like devil mask. And like my family, we grew up Catholic and like we went to church every weekend and like talking about the devil was bad and blah blah blah. But he came home or he did something where he put this devil mask on and he like chased my brother around the kitchen table and like upstairs and like up into the bedrooms. And at one point, I guess my dad flipped on the hallway light and his mom, the way that her bed was positioned in the room, she like looked at the door and she saw this devil mask and like the next day she's like, I literally thought I was meeting my maker. And she's like,
Oh
I thought like the devil was coming for me. So like when
no!
you asked, do you
Oh
think she was checking
no!
on you? I think she was, yes, probably at the time she was maybe checking in on me, but like now I'm thinking like she was like, no, I was playing a prank on you. Like your dad scared the shit out of me when I was living there, like doing something like that. Now I have these powers and I could do that. I forgot about that, so thank
Wow,
you for bringing that to my.
that is funny. So you would say your family tricksters. They like to, not tricksters, but like they like to
Like jokes on each other. Yeah,
scare
like
each other.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I would well, I didn't so my dad's parents were older. And I did not because I was so young, I did not have that great of a relationship with them. I do not feel like I was very close with them in the physical. Um, so if they
yeah,
played pranks on one another, I don't remember it all that well, but at least in that moment, like I don't know what my dad was doing, but he had this devil mask. It was chasing everyone around the kitchen table. And when he
that's
went
funny.
upstairs, yeah, his mom was like, I literally thought I was meeting like I thought the devil was coming for me. Like,
You're
what the heck?
probably connecting with her, and that's why she showed you that memory.
Ah,
You're talking about it, so she's probably
I'm
trying to,
acknowledging her, so she's okay. Okay,
you
okay.
know, that's funny. Wow. So you have some good memories, so,
Yeah, no, yeah, I don't want it to
yeah,
make it sound like I don't have any good memories of like my childhood or my grandparents, but we talked on an earlier episode, whether it was the inner child healing or how we got started, I just don't have very many memories of my childhood in general.
yeah.
Nothing was ever wrong, nothing ever happened. It's just I don't have very many happy memories, I guess.
It's just striking me that they still want to make memories with you, like they
I'm all about
still
it.
here. They want to come to acknowledge them and have those
Mhm.
memories. So it's real. It's real,
It is,
like I
yeah.
feel like I need to express that to our listeners out there that this is,
Hmm.
it goes on, it continues, it's just in a different form. I try to have, conversations with my parents. a lot because I want to keep fostering this relationship.
Hmm.
I want to bake them their favorite cakes. I want to honor them with my daddy loves gardening, so I want to honor him with
Mm.
my plants, my attempts to garden, and need help with that still, but we're working on it. And it's just like keep it going. It's that they want
Yeah.
to be included still,
Hmm.
just on a different level.
Yeah, yeah. Like I remember when we first lost my mom's mom, my grandma on my mom's side. We were setting um like a plate at the dinner table for holidays and stuff because they say like if you leave a an empty chair and a plate like they'll come and
Yeah.
sit down and things like that. So like we definitely did that. Like we still bake for a lot of people's birthdays. On my mom's side of the family, we'll bake my grandma's like famous Martian cake. It's green pistachio cake and she puts
Oh, yeah. I love that
oh,
cake.
so good. It's my favorite
So
cake.
good.
And truthfully, like my mom's been pretty close to making it pretty much like the way that my grandma did it. But, you just, the person baking it has so much love and it's just like you can't match that love. It's very
Yeah.
close. Very,
Yeah.
very close. But it's just not quite grandma's cake.
I
So,
have my grandmother's pistachio cake, and I try to
oh,
make it whenever I try to
mm,
make it. My kids love it. My kids love it. But I know what you mean. It's missing that extra love,
yep. Just that little pinch of it. That's all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Aw, I like that one. But yeah, I had a thought, and it completely escaped me. But
Is it
um,
about cake?
probably,
I'm all I
probably.
I was eating pie before we recorded this episode. So
Oh
I'm
God, you've
like
done that. I'm like, I want pie.
it was
Not
pretty
good for
good.
my diet. You're not good for
No,
my diet.
I did not say it was good pie for my diet. No, it was not. And the portion size that I had also was not.
Oh, I know what I wanted to say. So I have this client going off to what you said about leaving a plate out for them and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I had a client whose son was getting married, and her husband, her son's father, passed
Mm.
away. So we did a session, and it was like I kept seeing him in a uniform and a picture frame with a white rose, I believe. Anyway, I told her, I go, he wants to be at the wedding. I know, just have like a place at the table with you with his picture and a white rose.
Mm.
She did that and she took pictures. There was like words all over it. It was
Oh,
so cool. I
I
was like,
love
that,
that.
wow, yeah. So it was like she felt him there and she
Oh,
just
I
was
love
so,
that.
yeah.
Oh,
He wants to see his son get married. And if you
yeah.
make space for them, they know they're welcome, you know?
That's an interesting perspective I never thought of before. If you make space for them, they feel welcomed. Hmm.
Yeah. Or like I said before, you wouldn't let strangers in your house. People wouldn't just walk into your house unless you
Mm,
make space for them, right?
smart. Yep, yep, yep.
So that's kind of the same concept. Just hey, yeah, you're welcome here. Here's a plate for you. Here's a space for you. Here's this for
Mm,
you. That's why people make altars to honor their loved
yep.
ones in spirit, to make space for them. You know,
Hmm. I like that.
just a thought, food for
Yeah,
thought.
I like that.
So, any other things you want to add? Or
No, I think the biggest thing is just like if you're wanting to connect with your, people on the other side and you're wanting to notice more things, you just have to be in that present moment. We
yeah,
had I don't remember if it was right before we started recording or if it was at the beginning of the recording, but we were talking about being in the present moment. And the only reason why that these, ghost stories, if you will, caught our attention was because we were in this kind of twilighty present moment space in between, time or whatever. And they they were able to manipulate the energy, the frequency
Yeah.
to create some sort of reaction in our 3D environment. So
Well,
my thing is, go ahead.
interesting about that too, I feel like I should mention when we're in that state, we tend to raise our vibration. Our
Mm,
spirit has to lower theirs
to meet
because
us.
they vibrate at such a high frequency, you know. They lower theirs, we raise ours so we can meet in the middle.
Mm,
That's why sometimes it's hard to understand, but once you do it and you practice it more and you get these images, they communicate by symbols,
right.
or sometimes you hear words. That's all that's all symbolism. I
Mm-hmm.
feel things, I get impressions right of things. That's how they communicate. So when you put meaning to these symbols that they give us,
Yep.
then it's easier to communicate. You don't have to pray like charades and be like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
sounds like ear. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, two syllables.
Yeah. So if you see, like, for me lately, canary comes up a lot, and it's
Okay.
like, you know how the cat caught the canary and they can't, they choke or whatever.
Ah, okay.
That's what it means to me. Like, oh, you caught the canary, you can't speak. You know what I mean? So,
Okay.
so
Okay.
the, that will be spiritual way of saying, let go of the canary, speak.
Okay.
You see what
Okay.
I mean?
That's interesting. Okay. Okay.
I don't
Cool.
know where that came from, but that's how it presented
No,
to
yeah.
me. And that's,
It only has to make sense to you. This is everybody's journey. Your own journey. Make it however it makes the most sense to you is really what it
yeah.
boils down to. So it doesn't make sense to me, but that's okay because it's not my thing.
Right. So they give us these messages so that we can explain it to the other person. Like, I'm not going to
Mhm.
tell you, oh, I see a canary. You'll be like, well, what does a canary have to do with us? You know what I mean?
Right.
Unless, and that's where you also, too, you start to feel the different energies. Like my
Okay.
husband's mom used to have pet canaries. So if
Oh,
I keep
okay.
seeing canary, 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 then I might get that lump in my throat. Then I'm gonna know, oh, she used to have
That
canaries as
she's
a
trying to
pet.
come through.
So
Okay.
it's just the more you work with it, the more you start to understand the differences, or.
Well, and I think too, and maybe this we'll have to record another episode because I think we're going over on time, but that's where like the different types of mediumship and stuff come in too, is while you're sitting in the present moment, like you're an evidential medium and you bring forth evidence of the person or thing that you're trying to connect with. And
Mm.
I am more open right now to just kind of receiving intuitive messages and a little bit of visions. Like I have not fully opened myself to seeing and experiencing that, but there's also just different types of mediums and stuff too to get messages through.
Oh
So,
yeah, there's the empathetic. Is
yep,
that the word?
empathetic.
When you go by feelings and emotions.
Mm-hmm.
There's intuitive mediumship where you, like you said, more like a psychic, I call them prophet because, but that's a whole other thing. But where you can kind of feel into their energies, where they're headed. There's
Mm-hmm.
evidential mediumship. There's all kinds of different mediums.
Yeah.
How we receive information in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah, the healing, the angelic mediumship where they go into the world of the angels.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Something was either thrown at me. Oh my God. I don't know what that was. There's nothing there. There's nothing there, right? There's nothing
No, no,
there.
I did not see anything.
I
I
felt
think
that. So yeah, then okay. I don't know what that was about, but yeah, there's nothing there. Okay, okay. So, but yeah, so I guess there's a whole different type. Um, and I'm sure
Hmm.
you've come across some Facebook. Just stay away from the ones that want $5,000 for a movie time.
Yeah.
I think that is ridiculous. But people
Yeah. The
fall
scammers are
for it.
real.
Yeah, I had one of my friends who does this kind of work received $1,000 in her account, and she was like, "Why did you?" Not from me, but from somebody else. And she's
Uh-huh.
like, "Why did you send me $1,000?" And the lady goes, "Well, because you so that you could help me with whatever it was." And she's like, you were not talking to me. I would not do that." Turns out her Facebook was hacked. The business account was hacked. So please, 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 if that's not a typical
Oh
thing
my
that we would
gosh.
do, don't respond to it.
Also, I feel like a lot of the people that I see on like YouTube and Instagram and all the social medias that they'll like say like if you're truly like a follower of me and like you've been here for a while, like
You
I will
would
never
know.
reach out to you to say, "Hey, this message
Yeah,
is coming through. Let me tell you for $25 or whatever the price is." Like that's what I hear. A lot of people don't just like seek out things unless,
yeah,
you're
that,
like in passing or something too. So discernment is going to
yeah.
be the biggest thing that you're going to have to work on with this type of work is discerning like your energy from the other person's energy to the energy from the room and stuff too. That's a whole nother episode too in and of itself. But
Yeah, like you said, if you've been following us for a while, we will. If I get a message, I do get messages, random messages. I'm just trying to tell you what it is. You're gonna ask
yeah,
me for it, and if you're open to it, I will tell you. I'm not gonna ask
sure.
you, hey, I want 25 bucks before I tell you.
Right.
Like, no, that's not how we work. That's all about the intention. We want to do this to help bring closure or healing, to know that life
Hmm.
goes on. It always should be a message of love, you
Yep.
know, from love, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just,
From love, about love, to love. Yep.
yeah. So just be aware, whoever's listening to this, and
Hmm.
let us know you're listening, please.
Drop a comment below, subscribe, like, hit the bell, do all the things.
Do
Let us.
all the things. So thank you if you listen to this far, and we got a lot more coming up, don't we? We got
Yes,
a
we
lot of stuff
do.
coming up. So thank you for listening, and do all the things like you said, and see you next time.
See you next time.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.